Okay, welcome back to the workshop once again. This time we're making a video, once again a video about making a pen. I've done a few videos about making pens, but this time, for the first time, I've tried to make the pen from scratch. So it's what's called a kitless pen, where you don't use anything else other than the refill, and make all of the parts yourself. So one of the most difficult parts of that was making the threads for the pen, and I've covered the tap I made for that, and in a different video, which was has been quite a lot of views. So this video I'm just really covering making the body. There's quite a lot of steps I left out. It was just quite a long process, and I thought, well, I'll just cover the interesting parts. Basically the body and the clip are the parts I'll be showing in this. So I hope you're not too disappointed by that. I think the video would have been a bit long, and also I just got sick of filming, and I just wanted to get it done. In the end, it was dragging on quite a long time, because the body took me a long time to develop the technique. I ended up making about 4 or 5 versions of it before I got it right. Anyway, the pen was made for a fellow YouTuber. He's also a metal worker, and I wanted to make sure the quality was very good, because I know how fussy he can be, and he seemed to appreciate the work that went into the pen, and that YouTuber was Stefan Gotteswinter, and he exchanged for me we did an exchange, and I made him a pen, and he made me these lapping stones, which are surface ground to be perfectly flat, and I like them very much, so that's worked out really well. I use these all the time, so hopefully Stefan uses my pen all the time, and I hope it gives him many years of service. Anyway, without too much more blabbing, I'll pass you on to the actual metalworking, and I hope you enjoy the more interesting parts of a kitless pen. So bye for now, and we'll see you next time. Okay, so here we are making the body of the pen. We start with some plain mild steel, and just clean it up, center drill and face the ends. Then we drill out the insides of the steel, ready to hold it on a mandrel so we can machine down the outside diameter. At this stage we're just cleaning it up, so we're not turning it to size, and the internal diameter is also smaller than it will be in the finished pen, and that allows us to put it through the brazing process and clean it up later, and remove any oxidization problems that have occurred. So this is we're just machining the outside diameter, getting quite a nice finish there. We take the steel and mount it into the milling machine using the rotary table. You can see there I'm fitting a mandrel, and we've got some bushes that fit into each end, and they're squeezed onto a piece of 1/4 inch brass rod, which I've threaded in the end, and I'm just using a bit of an ad hoc tailstock there to support the end. It's just a piece of plate bolted onto an angle block. So here we are with the tungsten carbide slitting saw. If you ever get hold of a solid tungsten slitting saw, they are excellent, and made short work of this job, although actually it did take quite a long time because you have to go pretty slow. So made long work of this job, I guess, is probably a better statement. So once we've cut a slot, then we just rotate the rotary table 30 degrees to cut the next slot, and continue.
Okay, so once we've cut the slots into the body, we need to make some stainless steel fins or ribs to fit into those slots, and I'm just cutting those out on the bandsaw here. First cutting out a chunk of steel and then just sanding off the edges to make it flat and removing the burrs with a bit of wet and dry. I lost all the fingertips, all of the fingerprints off my fingertips. Here we are applying some flux and getting ready to silver solder. And I'm applying the propane torch here, heating things up as much as I can. Really would have been better to have had an oxy torch, but I don't have an oxy torch, so I may do. This is quite a difficult process. You have to make sure that every rib is soldered perfectly, and I did have a few failures. One of the ribs actually flew out while I was machining it, which was not fun. Okay, now we put the finished, we put the work into the lathe, and we're going to machine down those ribs because they're quite a bit longer than we need, and we want everything back down to the same diameter. This is quite a scary process, machining this intermittent cut of stainless steel, but I got through it in the end. Just took my time, light cuts, and wore it down. You see here we're finally breaking through to the underlying steel, and that once we've got it round, then we can put it into a collet and machine out the internal bore to the finished diameter, and that means that we're guaranteed that the internal and the external diameters are completely concentric and nice and machined, so no oxidization. And there you can see the ribs showing up quite well, even before we've treated them with the gun blue to bring out the blackness. And here I am polishing with some wet and dry, got them to a nice mirror finish. So this is the bottom end of the pen, or the body of the pen, and most of this is completely identical process, except for turning a taper, which I've done here by offsetting the tailstock. And as I'm about to discover, it's very difficult to do that with the tailstock locked in position. So once I unlock the lever, it's a bit easier to turn, to move with the grub screws, and we offset and then just use the parallel turning to give ourselves a taper, and that worked out very well. And once again, we're polishing her up, and we'll get a lovely mirror finish. Right, so now we've got our cap and our body made, we need to apply the Birchwood Casey gun bluing chemical. I've got some nice gloves on there, and I've made sure everything is nice and squeaky clean, washing it several times in detergent, and also with some Prepsol to make sure there was no grease or oil present. And I found it easier just to pour the contents of the bottle into a jar, and then just swish things around a bit. And you can see it all turns black pretty quickly, but once you remove it from the treatment, you can rub off the black treatment from the stainless steel with a kitchen towel, and it shows up a nice contrast. Okay, so that's so much for the body. Here we are making the clip for the pen, which was quite a difficult job. It's made from a piece of stainless steel, and so I could hold on to it, I brazed it to a fairly big chunk of mild steel, which progressively got smaller as I machined down the various surfaces. And my brazing is not the best. There you go, it popped off, but back we tried again and put it on with a bit more silver solder, and this time it worked much better. And we're just machining the profile here, getting it down to size, a bit of a relief in the middle, and then a raised section at the end. And here we are marking out some holes which I used to fix the clip to the pen using some Torx screws, which gave it quite a nice look. You can see my little knife advice there on the rotary table. We're using it to round off the edge of the end of the clip, and cutting through all of the pieces of steel as well that we've got brazed in there as a holding surface. And here we're machining longitudinally, giving it a curved shape so it will match to the body of the pen. It wasn't exactly the same diameter, but it was pretty close, so it did the job. And here we are drilling out the actual body of the pen and tapping those holes to take the Torx screws so we can attach the clip to the cap. And to get the spacing right, I just screwed the clip in and put it on backwards, because spacing's the same backwards or frontwards, and just drilled the next hole and tapped it out. I think it was a 2.5mm thread, quite a narrow one. And there we are, it's finally finished.